We're live now, David.
Hey, guys, we're just trying to get our settings right. So hopefully the camera is cooperating. Little technical difficulty here.
The producer's not here.
And of course our producer's not here. Looks.
Bam. We're good.
We're back. So for some reason we were turned sideways. We wanted to correct it. So we're back after this commercial break.
And my head's getting cut off.
Eric's head's getting cut off. He might have to scoot down a little bit. I'm good.
What in the world?
So hang on. So we're gonna fix the camera this
little bit. Go ahead and.
So let's recap what happened last week, y'all. So of course everybody knows we had a cold front, a real cold front came through the Houston, Galveston area. Here on Galveston Bay, we had a drastic drop in water temperature and tides. So the tides went up to about 4 foot below normal here at Eagle Point. And water temperature dropped from like the mid 60s to like 50, 49, 48. So it got really cold. Drastic drop in the water temperature, which put everything down. We lost all our live shrimp due to the fact that the water got so cold. So we're finally back to normal. As of yesterday, the tide really came back in good. This morning it was even better. We brought in some water. We've got some shrimp. Everything's good. So this weekend should be good. I wish I had some fishing reports from last weekend, but considering the water conditions and the weather conditions, nobody really got out. There have been catches, scattered catches of fish up north from us a little bit, and we're going to go into that a little bit more as the show progresses. But everything looks good. I mean, everything really, really looks good for this coming week. And it's one of those holiday type weekends coming up, or a holiday week coming up, that you should take advantage of it. If some people are off, definitely take advantage of the weather this weekend. The temperature is supposed to be mid-70s, they're saying, maybe 70, 75, so, which is perfect weather. I mean, this is more like a fall type pattern. So it should be really, really, really some excellent fishing coming up. But we're going to go into what you need to do and what you should concentrate on as far as trying to catch fish after this cold. Because the water's still cold. As the tides start slowly bringing water in from the Gulf, the water temperature is going to come up. And it already has today because it went up to
Make sure you project. I couldn't hear you real well there.
It went, can't hear me. It went up to about, the water temperature is hovering about mid-50s right now, which is a real good increase from yesterday. So it's been up about 7-8 degrees. And typically it was due to the incoming tide. So the incoming tide from the Gulf is going to be warmer, and every tide change is going to bring a little bit more warmth back into our bay system. And so, Eric, we're going to look at what should they do for this weekend. Where would you go if you were fishing this weekend?
Well, if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
Let's just back up one moment.
Okay.
I heard you say, I just want to recap what you already talked about. Things happened. I would say we were about 80% correct in what we thought would happen this last weekend. The one thing that I wanted to bring up, because it's enlightening, hopefully, to other people as well as to myself and David, this particular cold front that came through had more north, if not almost basically all north in it. And when the wind went basically all north, no east in it, basically at all. Not enough east, even when it may have had even hints of east in it. It did not have enough east in it that it did blow all the water out. So we thought there was a chance that we would still have water in the bay, in the bayous, in the channels. We thought there was a chance that it would be still fishable in some situations. In most situations, it was not fishable because this cold front did pack
a punch.
That hard north wind, that true north wind, it blew all the water out.
Some snow in Houston, they said?
Yeah. And the reason why I just wanted to make sure that we talked about that is because, see, we had it wrong in that we thought there was at least a chance that it might keep some water in the bay, and it really did not. We get how many of these a year? I would say in the fall and winter we get. God, I haven't even really thought about this until I brought it up to David. We may get
5 of them.
I was going to say 10 of them.
I think that's probably a little to where the tides get this drastically low. I mean, the tides. This is like the lowest I've ever seen these tides so early.
So between 5 and 10 probably of these
Correct.
a year. In, of course, fall and winter, where it's going to drop so low that it's going to be hard, really, to do the fishing that you would want just about anywhere.
That's correct.
It's going to be tough.
That's correct.
So I want to make sure we drilled that home because I think that's valuable to a lot of people that maybe if they did try to go, if they got frustrated, hey, we were frustrated too. I mean, the water just completely dropped out of the bay. Also very dangerous, like we've talked about. And then, like David said, the water temperature dropped, 15
degrees.
15, maybe even almost 20 degrees in some cases. And then now that brings us to where we're at now. We really wanted to hit this show. It's not going to be a long show. It's going to be quick. It's going to be precise. But we wanted to say, look, what do you do now? Because we already talked to somebody that went out today. We talked to 3 people that went out today. One person, they had 20 trout. That was Bill Russo. One of our longtime customers, Bill Russo, he had about 20. And then we had 2 other customers went out and they did not catch them. And we're going to talk about why we believe they didn't catch them and what you might consider this weekend. Like David said, this weekend is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, the weather should be nice. I mean,
should be nice.
Will
should be nice.
Will
Phenomenal.
Be nice. Phenomenal. Light winds, sunshine. I mean, everything you want. So, temperature forecast. Low 70s with very light winds out of the west, northwest are saying maybe a little bit in the afternoon. I bet it turns around and goes east, southeast, just a tad. Right now, it's south here at Eagle Point right now, so which is really good because it's going to coincide with a high tide, which will bring the water back into the bay system.
Yeah, I'm going to get that forecast for us.
So Eric's going to get the forecast in what I would concentrate on. So myself, I'm fishing tomorrow, but I'm fishing down out of Galveston, showing a person around that moved their boat to the yacht basin, and they haven't really fished the yacht basin area a lot. So we're going to go explore the jetties with them, catch some bull reds, and then go into the channel, catch some flounder. And the fishing around here should be really, really good.
Yeah, so what we're looking at for tomorrow, they're forecasting a northwest wind around 5 knots, and then on Saturday, a southeast 5 to 10. That southeast will bring in some nice water on Saturday. We think that northwest at 5, you're still going to see some nice water back in the bay tonight and tomorrow.
Correct.
But Saturday, for sure, you're going to see then even some more volume of water come through the jetties and into the bay. And then Sunday, east winds 5 to 10. So
should hold the water in the bay.
Temperatures, they've got forecasted in the low 70s during the day. Should be beautiful. And so now let's get right into it. So I spoke to one of my friends, Sam Barcelona. Y'all have heard me talk a lot about Sam. A lot of people probably think I have a man crush on Sam. I do. That for anyone
Sam is an old timer.
Yeah, for anyone that's not watched our show or has missed the sections where I talk about Sam, as a kid, as early as 4 years old, my dad would let me go with some of these anglers that my dad respected and knew that he could trust them with me in the vessel. And so Sam was one of the guys that I would go with a lot, and he was a phenomenal, he was a phenomenal fisherman. He doesn't fish much anymore, if at all, the last 4 or 5 years. He's in his 90s. He owns Barcelona Sporting Goods. But Sam was an amazing fisherman and an amazing angler, and I really respect the way he fished, what I learned from him. So I was talking to him today, and we wanted to share kind of some of the thoughts that he had. And Sam fished year-round, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He has a house here on the Bay Shore Drive in San Leon here. And he's had that house in a boat, his boat in a lift for over 60 years now. So without further ado, let's talk a little bit about what Sam and I talked about, what you talked about, and let's get into it.
So, of course, with the water temperature drop and the low tides, I personally, if it was me going fishing, now typically I told Eric goes, well, what would you do this week? And I'm like, hey, look, it's Thanksgiving week, y'all. In this shoreline, and it's just been a religious phenomenon type deal.
Phenomenon.
From April Fool Point to Eagle Point, this shoreline here, every Thanksgiving produces stringers of trout. For some reason, I don't know why, but it's always been. Now,
we know why. You're going to explain why.
Right. And the reason is because you have adjacent water that's really deep. And this water on this shoreline stays deep, and then it gets shallow as it comes up. You're on the west side of the bay, which typically gets all the sunlight. When the sun comes up, this side of the bay warms up first. And just the rocks along the shoreline, the shell, the pilings, just all the structure will hold trout. And these trout will get up, either they'll get up tight or they'll station themselves outside of it in about 7-8 foot of water. So you just have to start drifts. A lot of times this time of year, in the old days, like Sam Barcelona, when he fished it a lot, I think if you would ask him, he'd either throw live shrimp under a cork or he'd be in there with like shifty shiners, which probably nobody even knows what they are anymore. But he would throw it inside these pilings and they would catch lots of fish. I mean, I've caught lots of fish in here this time of year. And then anywhere from Eagle Point up to Red Bluff, especially the Kemah Seabrook Flats in this shoreline here. And the reason is, I mean, you got access to the deep water. The fish can slide off when it gets cold at night. And as the sun comes up and starts warming this western bank of this shoreline, these fish will start sliding up to feed. And they'll go in, I mean, sometimes they'll go in pretty shallow, 3 foot of water to start feeding. And it may not be they may not feed a lot, but when they feed, they'll go off and you can catch them. And so what we like to do is we like to start off, depending upon the wind, and it's all wind directions on how you drift. If we're going to pull a bit of a northwest wind, you're going to start off probably shallow and then drift out until you hit them. And then once
show them that wind.
So the northwest wind will come like this.
A little more like this.
Yeah, it would be just like this.
So what David's saying is, you would start shallow because of the direction of the wind. The wind is going to blow you from the shoreline out, which means shallow water to deeper water. And what Sam and I were talking about, and this brings back memories, fishing trips with him and others, you're basically using the wind, which they're forecasting a light wind. It would be a nice drifting velocity. And you're going to use the wind to locate the fish. So if you don't have a troll motor, for example, I do not, that's perfect wind to help you locate the fish. 5-10 miles an hour, drifting away from the shoreline, and then you're going to try to figure out, are those fish in shallow, like David was saying? Is the bait in shallow? Or are those fish in the bait, or have they more or less off the ledge, if you will? It's not a ledge. Don't get confused. And we want to make sure we clearly communicate to people because all of us want to have more confidence when we go out there and go fishing. That's a major part of why we do this show, is to give people additional confidence and help them with decision making, so you have that confidence to go out and fish. This is helpful for everyone, and it's not a ledge, but we're talking. We use the term ledge, but it's like, give us an idea, David.
It's more like it's a bit of a drop off. I mean, it does drop off. It goes from the flats, from what everybody knows as a Seabrook Flats, Kemah Flats, which are 3-4 foot of water. It's a mix of shell, sand, mud, and then it will. Then it will start dropping off to 5, 6, 7 foot of water.
Right there.
So you'll start 3, and then it will start dropping off. So what I like to do this time of year, very important, is the depth. It's all in the depth of the water, y'all. If you're out here and you're making a drift and you catch a fish in 5 foot of water, and then you get to 6 and you don't catch any more fish, pretty good indication you need to go back around, make that same drift. And if you start catching fish again, gets to about 5 foot of water, you start catching them, it drops off to 5'7", 5'8", 5'9", and you don't catch them. Pretty good indication those fish are holding between 5 and 5 foot of water. Now, can you just continuously make drifts through that depth of water? Yes. Can you get in there and make a drift, and then as soon as you stick the next fish, you drop the anchor out and see if you can sit on them? Sure you can. And sometimes this time of year you can, because they'll be bunched up in a little bitty area in a little bitty school. And you can catch them, and then once they stop feeding, pull up the anchor, go back around and make another drift. Now remember, this shoreline here has piers on it, and some of the piers are in deeper water than others. And I can't tell you where they are, but I fish them. And so the ends of these piers that are in just a little bit of deeper water than most of the other ones will hold fish. And the bottom structure is a little different. There's some pretty good shell around the ends of them, and then other ones there's not. But the real key this time of year, I think, is a little bit of a shell and mud mix, just because of a little bit of warmth. Now, I'm not saying all these fish will be on these shorelines from like Sylvan Beach down to Eagle Point.
Yeah, let's talk about some of the key spots. Sylvan Beach, Red Bluff Point. They call it Red Bluff Point, Red Bluff Reef, whatever works for you. Seabrook Flats, the Kemah Flats, and what they call Corinthian Yacht Club. Corinthian Yacht Club's a really nice hot spot this time of year.
And you can tell when you get to it, it has a very long pier that runs out, and at the very end of the yacht club, they got lifts with boats hanging up in the lifts.
Yeah, they've got about a 600-foot pier, like David said.
At least 600. Yeah, I don't want to walk it.
Long pier.
Yeah.
Maybe 1,000-foot pier with
some
boat slips at the end. Then you've got the spillway, which is going to be here. Spillway Park, Bayshore Park. You have 18th Street Pier, great spot to fish. And then, of course, Eagle Point, where we're at, where we host the show, where David and I work. And then April Fool Point, Moses Lake Floodgate.
Correct. Now, I talked to Eric, and I'm like, hey, you know what a sleeper is? And people don't fish it a lot this time of the year, but when you get a little bit of a warming trend like this, you got two sleepers that people probably need to go to. Number one, especially when the wind's light and you can get there, Hannah's Reef in East Bay right now. And the reason is all that wind we had from the north, all this water that was held up back up in Trinity, the fresh water, it's all been pushed, and it's pushed. But this part of East Galveston Bay is salty. And so these fish that were here, whatever was left, could have easily been pushed into East Bay. In the middle of East Galveston Bay, Hannah's Reef, because Hannah's has everything you need. Hannah has the deep water, and then that has shallow spots on top of it.
That.
So, like, I take Eric, there's some shallow spots.
Whoa.
Don't pinpoint it. So anyway, in Hannah's,
we got a little hot spot at Hannah's that we like to hit.
In Hannah's, I fished, there's a ledge out there, and it is definitely a ledge. And it's a 3 to 4 foot ledge, and it's adjacent to 7 and 8 foot of water. And at times, this is going to be one of them, man. You're going to have all that sunshine beating down to tomorrow, Saturday, all in that shallow area. And as it warms up, there's a really good chance those fish will pull from that deep water up on top of that ledge. And Eric's been with me, and we have absolutely
really strong
lit them up. Yeah, really strong. So now, that's a sleeper, and the other sleeper is right here, Redfish Island. The rocks at Redfish on either corner. It's shallow, adjacent to deep water.
Shallow, adjacent to deep water, and then you've got...
And you got the rocks that will hold the warmth of the sun.
Then you've got Moses Lake, the floodgate.
Same thing. Deep water, shallow water around.
Inside Moses Lake or outside Moses Lake, what some people will call Miller's Point. You can drift in, drift out, find where those trout are located, and then you've got Dollar Reef. Now, there are a slew of other spots, but these are some of the spots that we're talking about as we're repeating. Shallow to deep, you can drift them, You could also set the
Right.
anchor if you get on the fish. But again, try to pinpoint
The depth.
The depth.
It's all in the depth. And I've told Eric, and Eric goes, well, what about bait? And I said, look, Eric, I said, as cold as this water temperature got, I said, a presence of bait, maybe 1 or 2 flips of a mullet. And that may be all that you see.
Hey, now David Salva, he did say what we talked about earlier, and that is that the water is probably off color over there. David fished, I don't know that he fished over there, but he checked it out. David, did you fish at all? Or once you saw it was off color, you just went to the next spot? And also, did you go further back in East Bay or not? Because David and I said it might be too off color over there. Love to hear your feedback. David Salva. He went to Hannah's today.
Oh, okay.
I think that was David I saw at the boat ramp today. So we'll wait to
That's
see.
how it was today. Yeah, well, so you may have had to gone farther back to
Well,
get
that's why I
into
want to
the
know
better
if you
water.
went further back.
Yeah, like deep reef.
Great. So David said he moved on, and then went to Goat Island, and it was brown too.
Okay, well, Goat Island still not going farther back. He went more south. So this is Goat Island.
Okay.
Right. So
David, did you by chance go any further back? This is great information, man. Really
yeah,
appreciate
towards
it.
like Stingery.
No, good information, David. Okay.
So anyway, but it's just the deep water adjacent to the shallow. So this time of year too, y'all, especially when it gets like this cold, I've caught a lot of fish along Atkinson Island right here. And you have the channel for protection, the fish do, and you can slide up to it and just drift out all up here along this part of Atkinson
Now, how
Island.
dangerous is that?
You've got to watch the ship wakes. You just got to be aware of the ships, how much ship traffic there is coming in and out of there. And so it's all on the ships. And if you get a lot of ship traffic, would I even mess with it? No. I mean, that's like fishing. A lot of times that's like stopping and trying to fish redfish. If the ship traffic's just coming and going, and you've got to keep pulling in and out in order to get to the spot to catch them, after a while it just, it gets old. So
Now, David said he didn't go any further back, but yeah, David. Oh man, phenomenal information.
because we were talking about
talking-
the fresh water being pushed out with that low
We
tide.
were saying East Bay, Hannah's, it could be off color right now. Now, what would be interesting is if we get some feedback from any of the viewers and listeners on Sunday, as the
wind goes to the southeast.
as
and
the wind
tide
direction
comes
turns
back in.
around, the tide comes in and out a few times. Hannah's can clean up like that.
Correct. And I'll be interested tomorrow because it's really good because I'll be fishing the Galveston jetties in the morning. And I'm going to be interested to see what kind of water's coming out through the channel side of the jetties. It's good. I mean, it'll kind of tell me what's going on with the rest of the bay too. So, but it looks like this weekend's really, really going to be good. And I'm going to throw this out there to y'all. I had a cancellation on Saturday, so if anybody wants to pick it up, they can holler at me, and I'll be more than happy to even run a little bit of a special if they say they heard it on this fishing show, on the Galveston Bay Fishing Show. I'll cut them a little bit of a break on a 3-people trip. So if anybody wants to take advantage of the specially this coming Saturday, I'll be more than happy to put it on the boat.
Is this basically like a Thanksgiving special?
Thanksgiving special. That is correct. Yes, it is Thanksgiving, y'all. So remember that. A lot of us are a lot more fortunate than those folks in California right now. So my prayers are with those people in California.
Oh man, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, but it looks like the weekend's good. The bait supply should be good. The shrimpers did good today.
Shrimpers did very good today.
They did really, really good. And it was kind of like, did we know that they were going to do good? I kind of figured they would because all that low tide pushed everything out of the back of Trinity.
Shrimpers are doing good. The oyster
Guys
boats are doing
good.
they're doing good. I mean, they're doing okay. Nothing like the old days. We've already dredged up that whole topic a few times. We'll get on that again at a further date. Why we believe the oyster harvest business, oystering, is not what it used to be. Of course, our viewpoint is it has a lot to do with the Houston Ship Channel, freshwater flows, all those things. But in any event, for what it's worth, they're doing okay.
They're doing good.
They're doing okay, considering everything else. Oyster boats are doing okay,
The bay system seems to be holding up.
and that's why we're telling you this. We just want to give you some feedback that things are nice out there. Look, just a year ago we were coming off Harvey,
And trying to find a live shrimp.
Yeah, what we're saying right now, as an example, none of what we're saying right now would apply at all last year at this point. Nothing.
No, nothing.
You couldn't fish any of these spots we're talking about and have any success, to speak of. There was no live shrimp to speak of, and there was no oystering going on.
No, not at all.
And so the bay rebounds quickly. It rebounds strongly when the conditions are right, when you have the water's right. And so anyways.
Yeah, Galveston Bay is really, really resilient. So, and I know Eric and I, look, y'all, we have been busy. We are gearing up big time for the Houston Boat Show. We will be there. I will be there for the full 11 days. Eric will be my counterpart there, and he'll probably be there most of the days. But we do also have a business to run, and you can see all this right here. Eric goes, "Let's clean this up." And I go, "No, let's just leave it to see what really goes on behind
The question
the
is, should we have cleaned the desk or not? Is
think
it
it's
important
great.
to y'all? I wanted to clean the desk up. David said, let him see what the desk looks like when we're trying to organize, get bills paid, make sure that we're taking care of business. And
right.
Small business and all the little minutia involved. There's quite a bit of things going on. But like David said, we're gearing up for the boat show. It looks, we're excited. It's been
We got the boat show coming up. We got the Houston Fishing Show right around the corner on top of that. Then you got spring break rolling around. And before you know it, y'all, hey, it's going to be big time fishing season. So I'll go into that more and more, and what you all probably need to prepare, especially if you have a boat. I'm going to do a whole show on that, on what you need to do to get your boat ready for the spring. Because if you're one of those procrastinators that you wait until like 2 weeks before spring break to go get your boat ready and get it to the shop,
the ethanol.
you're behind.
Yeah.
You're behind that. You're done.
Your engine.
You better call me and get a trip book, because your boat's not going to run.
Yeah, speaking of which, we've been looking at the ethanol-free gas, ethanol-free fuel, and that's something that you might want to consider and think about. Is that something that you would want us to carry here at Eagle Point? And something that David and I have talked about, and I've talked to different customers. Are people becoming
more concerned?
They're open to spending more money for ethanol-free gas. One of the things that seems to be happening is people are ending up with $2,000, $3,000, maybe even $4,000 bills to fix their engine and their fuel lines and everything associated.
Maybe even more than that, but I'm not going there.
Yeah. So anyways. So you want to wrap up the show, Dave?
Yeah, that's good. Any questions, y'all? Look, Eric has the computer screen. I'm kind of not reading it.
David said, just to follow up, David said he ran to the jetties and the water cleaned up there, which is good. That water from the jetties will be in the bay within the next probably 24 hours, 36 hours, so that's fantastic. Diane says hello. Hi, Diane.
Hi, Diane.
Great to see that you're watching. And
I guess that's it, y'all. That's probably a wrap for this week, and we'll try to get a special guest in here in the next couple of weeks. I got somebody that I want to bring in to talk about Galveston Bay a little bit, which would be, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So anyway, hopefully I can get that lined up. I'll get Eric on board with it, and that would be a little bit of a longer show, and it'll be a really interesting show to where you can get a perspective of Galveston Bay from a commercial dive, maybe.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of participation, and we appreciate what we have received from y'all. The one thing that I'm disappointed in is essentially no one has suggested or really wanted us to bring on any particular special guests. So if there's anyone or any particular what's the word I'm looking for, Dave?
Person?
No, any side or subject of the business of Galveston Bay Fishing that you want us to bring on. We kind of we have some ideas going into the boat show this year, but I would love to get some feedback from y'all. But we've basically got no feedback, and we've had a lot of feedback on different things to talk about, which we appreciate, and we're going to get to some of those things. But we've not had any particular ideas on, hey, we want you to interview this particular person.
Right.
So it's kind of a little deeper subject. But in any event, if you have anybody that you want us to reach out to, for example, any of the boat dealerships, I have some connections in the boat business, so we're going to bring on some people from the boat business, and then a couple of mechanics that we're going to reach out to. But if there's any particular ones, let us know. We're open to it.
We're open, very open. So always looking for some content, y'all. It's, it's this time of year, like I told Eric, I said it's kind of hard because it's not like anything's changing. We're going into the doldrums of course.
Doldrums? There is no doldrums.
Well, the wintertime pattern of fishing, and then everybody's hunting or they're doing the holiday thing. So everybody's life's busy this time of year, which I understand, but the fishing keeps on. I mean, you fish Galveston Bay year-round. We don't quit. So I'll be fishing year-round this year. And also, this is a great time. The last week or so, I've been tied up teaching a person how to run their boat. From the very basics, which means I've taught them how to trailer their boat, how to hook it up, get it out of their boat shed. And I did this all on site with them at their boat shed. They did not keep their boat here. So it was a full 3 days of 8-hour days with them and taught them how to dock. So I do that kind of thing. You can check me up on my Facebook page and my website has it all, GalvestonBayCharterFishing.com. So you can look at me, and if you're interested in that, learning the bay or learning how to operate your boat a little better and some tips, look me up. I do charge for that, but I think it's well worth it. I think they got a lot out of it.
Absolutely well worth it.
I'll help them with their electronics and all that kind of stuff. So
that's all part of what we want to try to do here with the show and from Eagle Point, is just help people to be better acclimated to use their vessel more, have more fun.
Fishing made simple.
And stay in boating. Fishing made simple.
That's it.
And then David Salva asked what time we're going to open tomorrow. We're going to open tomorrow and Sunday. Tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday we'll open around 6:30. The sun seems to be breaking about at that point.
Yeah.
And our opening hours during the fall are typically around sunrise on all days except foul weather days. So, hey, if it's blowing, 20, 25 out of the northwest,
So I suggest call.
Yep, call ahead.
Call the day before, and we'll tell you what we're going to open.
Yeah. And then the guys, our staff here at Eagle Point's worked really hard, and we don't per se take weeks off, but we're there's no reason for us to necessarily be here at 6:30, on a hard northwest wind day early, so we'll come in say around 8, 9, 10 o'clock.
That's it.
And then other than that, hey, Ro Jackson said hello. Hey, we appreciate you watching. And then Terry Bruner, hey, thanks for the compliment. We appreciate the positive feedback.
Hey, thank y'all. We do. So tell your friends, subscribe to our YouTube at Galveston Bay Fishing Show, like the Galveston Bay Fishing Show page on Facebook. We kind of, we do this for you all. We surely don't do it for us.
Yeah,
because the sun's down and I could be home.
Now, hey, I don't know if it's the right phrase. We're apologetic, but for lack of a better expression, look, we'll try to upgrade our map.
No, I like it I kind of like it like this, y'all.
I mean, we're just burning the candle on both ends. David's had well over 100 trips this year, and in any event, I worked what was it, 100 and something straight days.
Yeah, because I was fishing every day.
Was it 100 something? Yeah, I worked 100 and something straight days. So we're just trying to catch up. We want to upgrade what we're doing and bring you a better show. But we appreciate you watching and hanging in there with us. Okay.
Anyway, that's it. Signing off from Eagle Point Fishing Camp, the Galveston Bay Fishing Show. We will see you next week,
Have
y'all.
an unbelievable
and hey,
Thanksgiving.
look, y'all be careful this weekend. Be careful during Thanksgiving week. Drive friendly. You know, just be nice to each other. Be a little nicer this week, and be thankful for what you have. Thanks. We'll see you.
God bless.